Unveiling 3 spine-chilling true stories of terrifying hauntings and sinister secrets revealed. Alex stared at the fading wallpaper of her new home, its intricate patterns marred by time yet somehow beautiful, like a forgotten memory yearning to be uncovered. As she settled in with her children, Clara and Max, the optimism bubbled softly inside her. A fresh start in Maplewood, a suburb that seemed plucked from a storybook, felt like salvation after her tumultuous divorce. But as night fell, shadows danced along the walls, whispering secrets she hoped she could bury. The creaking floorboards would often echo as if they carried the weight of years gone by, and soon enough, Alex began noticing the crooked frames hanging eerily on her walls. She shook it off as simple stress, imagining herself losing track of things in the chaos of single parenting. But when she heard faint murmurs drifting through the empty rooms, there was a chill that crawled down her spine. It felt wrong, so very wrong. The isolation crept in subtly, a strange communality among her neighbors that seemed warm on the surface but was laced with something darker. Invitations to neighborhood barbecues, once a source of hope, now felt like snares tightening around her throat, leaving her breathless. Something doesn't sit right here, she thought, clutching her children's small hands as they walked home from school, their unblemished innocence now a fragile wall against the growing dread. Then came the day she found the box in the attic, its lid heavy with secrets. Old documents inside detailed the disappearance of families, and panic washed over her like a cold wave. The connection to the local librarian, Mr. Grayson, who always bore a friendly smile but whose eyes had the unsettling depth of a stormy sea, sent ice coursing through Alex's veins. She learned whispered rumors about him from the anxious glances exchanged at the grocery store. The fear cloaked the community, a web thickening by the day, pulling her in closer. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The atmosphere grew tenser, and then came the nightmares, the shuddering footsteps echoing through her dreams. Clara's drawings became more unsettling, a woman weeping while encircled by shadowy figures, their outlines blurred like a forgotten tale begging to be remembered. Each night, the presence felt more insistent, as if something from beyond was longing to make their acquaintance. And then there was darkness. A door slammed in the kitchen while she prepared dinner, sending her heart racing. Just the wind, she whispered, but panic lingered in her throat. Max froze, eyes wide, as shadows flitted just beyond his line of sight, lingering like a specter. Glancing in the mirror, Alex barely recognized the hollow gaze staring back. As she approached the town library that day, the flickering fluorescent lights illuminated more than just the rows of dusty books. They unveiled a chilling connection she could no longer ignore. The unsettling whispers surrounding Mr. Grayson transformed into blood-curdling truths that pierced the heart of Maplewood. When Alex finally cornered him in the dim light, the air turned frigid, and she felt a weight of despair so thick it was suffocating. She stood there, teetering on the edge of a reality she could barely comprehend. The shadows circled tighter around her, waiting for her next move. Would she be able to protect Clara and Max, or were they already lost, claimed by the whispers reverberating through the walls of their very home? The look in Mr. Grayson's eyes shifted like storm clouds closing in, and Alex felt every breath becoming more of a struggle. There was a predatory glint in his gaze, as if he thrived on the fear that wafted off her skin. She swallowed hard, her fingers trembling as they clutched the strap of her purse, a feeble barrier in the face of growing darkness. "What do you want from us?" she demanded, a shaky edge creeping into her voice. Her children. The mere thought of Clara and Max at the mercy of this man sent a pulse of terror racing through her veins. "We don't choose," he replied, his voice smooth like silk, laced with something cold. "The town has its ways of selecting." A shiver darted down her spine, setting her heart to a frantic rhythm. Selecting what? Alex's mind raced, piecing together the riddles wrapped tightly in the air around her. Her legs felt too heavy, at odds with the rush of panic pushing her toward the exit. Before she could gather her thoughts to ask more, he added, "Each family that moves in comes with a price." The fluorescent lights flickered violently, and shadows writhed in the corners, arriving at the edges of her vision like ghouls summoned from a dark lore. Clenching her jaw, she turned on her heel, racing back into the cool embrace of the evening air outside. The stench of decay hung in the town not just from its aged buildings, but from something deeper, an ancient wound festering beneath them. Max and Clara were restless, waiting anxiously at home. Alex hurried through the streets, but the shadows felt alive around her. They whispered her name, elongated voices that twisted her insides tighter with every step. That evening, as Alex tucked her children into bed, her heart was heavy. Their light soft breaths filled the room, but the oppressive presence remained, an unshakable weight hanging in the air. Glancing at the drawings Clara had made crumpled on the floor, fear crept back into her heart. The images twisted on the page, those figures, haunting her, were becoming too vivid to ignore. She couldn't shake Mr. Grayson's words. Each family that moved in came with a price. What had her past led her to, and what would it demand of them? The walls pulsed like a living entity, and she was certain they held tales of the families before her. In the hushed quiet, the wind howled outside, rattling her windows like angry spirits. With each gust, the dread of that dark bargain loomed larger. Sleep evaded Alex, her mind swirling in a torrent of possibilities, questions like daggers piercing through the veil of uncertainty. What had she brought upon her children? Alex slipped from her bed, creeping toward the attic door, lured by an unholy force compelling her feet. It beckoned her to unveil more, to dig deeper into the horrors cluttered above. The wooden staircase creaked, each step echoing the heartbeat of the house, quickening as she climbed. As she reached the attic landing, whispers filled the air, swirling around her in an intoxicating rush. There, beneath layers of dust and despair, came a flash of light. The box she had found before, aglow with an unnatural energy, pulsed as if alive. The lid began to tremble, her instinct screamed to turn back, yet, trembling fingers reached for the box, a fatal pull drawing her closer. With a final glance back at her sleeping children, she opened it and the darkness surged forth, and she was left to wonder, were the depths of Maplewood merely a haunting, or had she just awakened something infinitely worse? What waited for her within was a truth that would alter everything. In that moment, Alex's heart raced, the shadows in the room twisting impossibly, daring her to look deeper. What would she find, and would she survive the revelation? The air thickened around Alex as the box creaked open, darkness spilling out like ink blotted across a page. An icy wind rushed into the attic, extinguishing the flickering light bulbs, plunging her into a suffocating blackness. Shadows danced, curling around her limbs, whispering secrets she couldn't comprehend. Every instinct told her to flee, yet her curiosity gnawed at her, pulling her deeper. The darkness sniffed the air, entangling her thoughts, confounding her reason. As she squinted into the pitch, flashes of images flickered, faces contorted in despair, cries that echoed like thunder in a void. The box trembled again, and she felt the jolt of something alive, something primal. "What are you?" she breathed, half in hope, half in terror. It felt as if the shadows listened. A colder whisper brushed against her ear, a name barely audible yet heavy with malice, the Keeper. She felt her heart thump loudly, synchronizing with the shadow's rhythm. It was almost mocking her fear. Heart racing, Alex stumbled backward, eyes wide. The attic cramped and constricted, as if it sensed her dread and tightened around her. Grayson's warning replayed in her mind, each family that moves in comes with a price. Was this the essence of that price? A hungry void? The sudden clang of a metallic object made her jump. She whipped around, searching for the source, but saw only the chaotic maze of old furniture and cobwebs that loomed like sentinels. The box lay half open, something inside writhing with anticipation. "Mom?" Clara's sleepy voice shattered the suffocating darkness, pulling Alex back to her children. Panic washed over her like ice water. She couldn't do this. She couldn't let whatever this was take them. "Clara, go back to sleep," Alex called, forcing her voice to steady, though dread clutched her throat. She turned her gaze back to the box. The light emitted a faint glow now, revealing scraps of pages, old and yellowed, strewn like lost thoughts. Images of families, eyes wide with fear, stared back at her from the tattered papers. Her linear thoughts fractured. What if these were the previous families? What had they lost? What had they done to pay the toll that held a stranglehold on their very existence? The winds outside picked up, howling like banshees, shaking the windows as if they too were urging her to flee. But she couldn't. Not without knowing. With trembling hands, she ripped a page free, its texture rough and pulsing. The words blurred in and out, but there was one thing she understood: every loss feeds the keeper. A sickening realization twisted in her gut. How many had come before her? "Mom." Clara's voice pierced the veil of terror that wrapped around Alex. The urgency pulled her back. She needed to protect her children. This darkness had a sinister appetite, one that could engulf the innocent. Slamming the box shut, Alex felt anger surge through her. She raced back downstairs, wanting to shield Clara and Max from every dark whisper that lingered in the air. As she turned away from the attic door, something crawled across her consciousness, a sensation that chilled her to the bone. She wasn't alone. Footsteps, unmistakably quiet yet deliberate, echoed above her, sending a ripple of fear down her spine. They weren't hers. Someone else was up there. "Who's there?" she called, a shaky bravado coating her voice. But she knew deep down, the keeper wasn't done with her yet. Her children were safe for now, but what had she unleashed? What echo of the past lingered just above? The dread coiled tighter. She needed answers before it was too late. With each heart-thumping second, time ebbed away. There was a reckoning approaching, and she was at the center of its storm. What sinister truth lurked in the corners of her home, and would she be able to face it before it descended upon her? Clara's sleepy voice lingered in the air as Alex's heart raced. She steeled herself and took a cautious step back towards the attic stairs. The house groaned again, a deep, unsettling noise that reverberated through the walls. The footsteps above moved with a disturbing slowness, like a predator stalking its prey. "Clara!" she yelled, urgency stretching her voice tight. "Grab Max and come down here now." Panic clawed at her chest. She had to protect them. She had to make that damned darkness pay. Back upstairs, the noise stopped abruptly. Silence heavy and suffocating. The shifting shadows above her seemed to fill the room, becoming a living thing, swirling and shifting, breathing in rhythm with her own rapid heartbeat. She climbed the stairs slowly, each creak echoing like thunder. The air grew colder as she ascended, wrapping around her like icy fingers. Halfway up, she felt something brush against her arm, a ghastly chill that erupted goosebumps along her skin. "Is someone there?" she whispered, but her voice barely rose above the mounting fear. As Alex reached the attic door, she braced herself, steeling against whatever twisted fate might await her inside. With a deep breath, she flung the door open, revealing a landscape of shadows that filled the corners of the room like silent watchers. The box remained in its chaotic state, one side fully open now, like a gaping maw waiting to swallow her whole. But nothing else stirred. No footfalls, no whispers. Just the heavy, oppressive silence pressing down on her. "Mom's here," she announced, her words trembling with uncertain bravery. From the darkness, a flicker of movement caught her eye. A shiny object glinted from the inside of the box-framed photographs, all filled with eerily familiar faces. Each image depicted a family, staring vacantly, trapped behind cold glass. As she stepped closer, her knees quaked. Each face held an expression she recognized: fear, despair, hopelessness. The very emotions she had glimpsed in the attic's shadows. She could feel their anguish piercing her heart, a heavy weight of despair that began to seep into her bones. Help us, a voice whispered, thin as paper and chilling as ice. Alex lurched back, her breath quickening. Who are you? Her voice cracked, panic squeezing her throat. Please, the keeper, the voice droned, echoing around her as if multiple specters wove through the darkness. Images began to swirl, flashes of the past, screaming children, families in despair, each one vanishing into the mouth of the box. No! She shouted, shaking her head as if it could erase the terror before her eyes. She felt the pull again, the darkness begging for her to surrender. But her instincts screamed to fight. I will not let you take my kids. I will not lose them. Cold laughter erupted, reverberating through the attic like crashing waves. Shadows congealed, forming a figure, tall and ominous, cloaked in the darkness. The keeper. Come, Alex, it beckoned, its voice a twisted melody of joy and chaos. You must understand, you cannot protect what you cannot see. Suddenly, the photographs clattered to the floor, shattering the silence and exposing the truth hidden within. The attic vibrated with energy, spiraling into chaos as laughter morphed into anguished cries, wrapping around her like chains. Alex felt her resolve wavering, the ancient hunger of the keeper gnawing at her spirit. Desperate, she turned, frantically calling, Clara. Max. Where are you? But the air thickened, and the shadows grew greedier, pulling her in, deeper. Join us, the specter murmured, it is what you're meant for. Terror rippled through her, but she fought against the dark tendrils clawing at her sanity. She had to save them. She clenched her fists and braced for resistance. If she didn't confront this evil now, it would consume everything she loved. In that instant, something within her ignited fury, ignited by fear. She lunged towards the box, ready to destroy whatever cursed artifact had bound her family to this horror. But as she took that step, a piercing scream shattered the air, a voice she recognized all too well. Mom! Could she reach her children in time? Would the keeper allow it? A new fear flooded through her veins. As she turned back toward the door, the shadows lunged, swirling with malevolence, ready to claim her soul. The darkness was alive, gnashing its teeth as it surged forward. Alex's heart pounded wildly in her chest, urging her to escape. Her instincts screamed at her to run, but she couldn't leave without Clara and Max. She had come too far, faced too much. Clara. Max. She shouted, voice cracking, desperation dripping from every word. The shadows rolled closer, a suffocating tide that encircled her. Mom! The scream echoed through the attic, clarity breaking through the chaos. It was Clara, but where was she? The keeper laughed, a mocking sound that reverberated in her ears. Such foolishness. They are bound to this place now. They cannot escape. No. Alex's voice was a primal roar, shaking off the overwhelming dread. You can't have them. I won't let you. With fists clenched tighter than ever, she leaped toward the box. As her hands reached for it, she felt a sudden jolt, a pain that shot through her palm like ice. It was as if the box itself resisted her touch, sending a shockwave of despair straight into her core. The faces in the photographs twisted, the lost souls trapped behind glass gaping at her with hollow, pleading eyes. Help us, they echoed, again and again, drowning her in sorrow. She staggered back, breath hitching in her throat. She couldn't focus, the voices were drowning her. Mom! Clara's voice again, a thread of hope weaving through the darkness. Where are you? Alex pleaded, searching frantically. The shadows twisted like snakes, coiling closer around her. Tell me. Suddenly, the attic seemed to morph, the very walls stretching and contorting. The laughter of the keeper amplified, mocking her efforts. It is too late. It taunted, the deep voice reverberating off the walls. You have all but lost already. The weight of its words pressed on her, curling around her spirit like barbed wire. But Alex's resolve pushed against the despair. "Stay away from my family," she roared, gathering every ounce of strength. As the shadows lunged again, a sudden brightness pierced through the gloom, a flickering light in the corner of her eye. There, amidst the chaos, stood a door she had never noticed, glowing faintly, as if inviting her. A voice, soft yet insistent, beckoned her nearer. "Mom! This way!" It was Clara's voice again, clearer, pulling at her heart. "Clara!" Without hesitation, Alex sprinted toward the radiant door, weaving through grasping shadows. The keeper shrieked in rage, shadows clawing at her clothes, ice-cold fingers scraping across her skin. "Come back!" It howled, desperation oozing from every syllable. But Alex surged through the door, slamming it shut behind her. The sudden silence was deafening. No shadows. No keeper. Just a bright, blinding light surrounding her. She blinked, adjusting to the brightness. When her eyes finally cleared, she stood in the foyer of the house, but something felt wrong. Very wrong. Where was Clara? Where was Max? The air was thick with an unsettling silence. She took a step forward, the floorboards creaking beneath her. The shadows had receded, but an underlying darkness still lingered in the corners of her vision, and an ominous sense of loss draped over her like a shroud. "Clara!" She called again, hope laced with dread. "Max!" Nothing. Just the echo of her voice and the hollow emptiness surrounding her. A chill crawled up her spine as she moved deeper into the house, searching each room, frantically opening doors, heart racing. "Where are you?" Then, in the dim light of the living room, she saw it, a photograph lying on the floor, face down. She bent down to pick it up, breath catching as she flipped it over. It was a picture of Clara and Max, but they looked different. Shadows danced around them, leaving only their faces illuminated. Smiling yet somehow sad. "Mom, help!" a faint voice whined from the photo, barely a whisper. Alex froze, eyes wide. What had she just unleashed? She could feel the darkness clawing to reclaim what it believed was rightfully its. And in that moment, she knew, the keeper wasn't finished with her yet. Could she really fight this evil, or was she just another lost soul, bound to its haunt? A choice loomed ahead as she stood torn between two worlds, the terrifying whispers of the attic and the anguish of her children. Where would her next step take her? The photograph slipped from her fingers, clattering to the floor. Alex stared at it, heart pounding. Shadows seemed to rise from the corners, creeping toward her like a gathering storm. "Clara! Max!" She cried again, desperation clawing at her throat. There was no answer, only the creeping silence pressing down on her, suffocating. She forced herself to breathe, panic threatening to swallow her whole. She turned on her heel, searching every room again, her fingers brushing against every surface in the hope of finding something, anything that might lead her to her children. "Where are you?" she whispered to the emptiness. A floorboard creaked eerily behind her, freezing her in place. The air felt charged with unseen energy. As she stepped into the kitchen, she caught sight of a shadow darting across the wall. Her breath quickened, dread pooling in her stomach. There it was again. A flicker. She followed it, stepping carefully, the chill of fear wrapping around her tightly. "Is someone there?" The words tasted like ash in her mouth, but she couldn't be silent. She had to keep searching, her heart pounded like a war drum, each beat hammering with urgency. She pushed through the heavy kitchen door and into the dimly lit hallway. Faded pictures lined the walls, their eyes following her, faces warped by time. The whispers of the house grew stronger, echoing through the air like soft, malevolent laughter. "Help us!" the phantom voices twisted around her, cloaking her in dread. A door at the end of the hall stood ajar, a sliver of darkness beckoning her. Against her better judgment, she moved closer, heart racing. What if Clara and Max were inside? What if they needed her? The door swung open with a creak, revealing a small room flooded with shadows. Dust motes danced in the solitary shaft of light. There was something in the corner. A figure? Clara? She called out, and the figure shifted. Alex's breath caught in her throat as a small girl stepped into the light. It wasn't Clara. It was a child she'd never seen before, eyes wide, fixated on her with an unsettling intensity. "Help me," the girl whispered, her voice barely audible. "You have to stop them." "Stop who?" Alex stammered, panic mixing with sorrow. "Where are my kids?" The girl's face twisted into an expression of fear. "They're lost. You have to find them before it's too late." The floor trembled beneath Alex's feet as if the very house were alive, reacting to the girl's words. The walls began to pulse, shadows swirling and crawling closer. The grasping darkness beckoned, hungry. "Stay away!" she screamed, swinging her arms to ward them off. She stumbled back, terror rising like bile in her throat. "Where are Clara and Max?" The little girl's face hardened in desperation. "They're in the attic. Behind the door. But you have to solve the riddle first." "Riddle?" Alex's mind raced. "What riddle? Tell me." "Follow the echoes of your heart," the girl whispered, stepping back into the shadows. "Only then will you uncover the truth." "Wait!" Alex shouted, reaching for her. But she melted into the darkness, leaving only a lingering sense of dread. The house groaned as if it were aware of her turmoil. She glanced back toward the kitchen. Would she really have to go back there? To face the haunted memories swirling around her? And the attic, could it truly be the place where her children were held? With trembling hands and cold sweat trickling down her spine, Alex took a deep breath, heart racing. Time was slipping through her fingers. She had to make a choice. Would she confront the keeper, face the darkness, and decipher the cryptic words that held the key to saving her children? Or would she turn away, risking Clara and Max forever? A whisper shivered through the walls, suffocating the air. Alex, her name echoed, filling her with a cold chill. With one last glance down the hallway, she ran toward the stairs, the weight of dread on her shoulders. What lay in the attic awaited her, and she feared it would change everything. Could she uncover the solution that would free them, or had she already sealed their fate? The stairs groaned under Alex's weight, each step echoing hollowly in the thick silence. Her heartbeat thudded in her ears, drowning out the sinister whispers that lingered like a dark fog. The air grew colder as she ascended, a biting chill that wrapped around her skin like icy fingers. The door to the attic loomed ahead, exuding an oppressive aura. It was closed, though a faint light flickered beneath it as if beckoning her to unleash the horrors contained inside. Shadows seemed to pulse and stretch toward her, eager to escape. "Clara! Max!" Her voice trembled, barely breaking through the cold air. What if they were trapped, begging for her help? With a deep breath that tasted of fear, she reached out and grasped the doorknob. It felt cold and unyielding, almost alive, a heartbeat pulsing through its metal. She turned it slowly, and the door creaked open, revealing an attic shrouded in darkness punctuated only by that flickering light. As she stepped inside, her senses heightened. The air was heavy with dust and something else, a lingering sense of despair, like a blanket suffocating her soul. Shadows loomed in the corners, whispering secrets she couldn't quite understand. The room was cluttered with forgotten memories, old boxes piled high, each one potentially hiding the truth about her children. "Clara! Max!" she called out again, desperation clawing at her throat. But only silence answered. The light flickered once more, pulling her attention to a small, ancient mirror leaning against the wall. It was covered in grime, yet the surface sparkled oddly, reflecting back glimpses of shadows that lurked just beyond her line of sight. Alex hesitated, dread pooling in her stomach. She stepped closer, her reflection distorted as the mirror rippled like water. Panic surged. What did the girl mean by the riddle? What hidden truths were here? Suddenly, whispers flooded her mind, fragments of sentences that twisted around her thoughts. Echoes of your heart. She pressed her palm against the glass, feeling a chill seep through her skin, as if the mirror were drawing her in. Her eyes darted around the room, searching for clues. Her breath caught as she noticed an old trunk partially hidden beneath a tattered quilt. Please, she murmured, moving toward it, her heart racing with the need for answers. The trunk was locked. But what was the riddle? The old girl's warning echoed louder now, follow the echoes of your heart. With a deep inhale, she closed her eyes, focusing on her heart's rhythm. Clara's laughter, Max's cries, these memories surged to the forefront of her mind. She could almost feel them. The sound of their joy intertwined with the haunting silence around her. In that moment, she understood. The key, she whispered, a chill running down her spine. The key is love. With trembling fingers, she pressed against the trunk's lid, willing it to open. At first, nothing happened. She felt the shadows growing heavier, pressing against her, threatening to snuff out her fleeting hope. But then a click. The trunk creaked open, revealing a trove of forgotten toys and white knotted string. At the bottom laid a tarnished locket. "Where are you, my beautiful kids?" she cried, clutching the locket. Just then, the attic became still. A vast emptiness swallowed her whole, the shadows drawing back as if something was about to be revealed. Suddenly, the walls began to shimmer, the whispers rising in a cacophony, "You must hold the key to break the curse." "What curse?" she shouted into the void, clenching the locket tightly. The mirror rippled violently, and for an instant, she saw Clara and Max, pale, ghostly figures trapped in a web of shadow. "Mom!" they screamed, reaching out. A surge of panic washed over Alex. Could she reach them? Was this the solution? "Hold on," she called, taking a step forward. But the very air around her thrummed with tension, and a voice, low and threatening, slithered from the walls. "You are too late." Fear coursed through her as the attic door slammed shut behind her. The darkness thickened, and Alex realized, she might have just stepped into the keeper's domain. "What have I awakened?" The locket pulsed in her hand, and a chilling certainty filled her. To save her children, she needed to confront whatever was lurking in the shadows. But how? A slow, malignant laugh echoed through the attic, mixing with Clara and Max's faint cries, driving Alex deeper into despair. What would emerge from the depths of the shadows? The answer beckoned, just beyond her reach. The attic closed in around her, oppressive and heavy, the air thick with impending dread. The laughter echoed again, fainter this time, twisted with malice. "You're too late," the voice taunted, leaving chills crawling up her spine. Alex's fingers tightened around the locket, its surface warm against her cold skin. "Clara! Max!" she screamed, desperation blooming into a frantic hope. Shadows danced along the walls, stretching and writhing, as if feeding off her fear. They whispered her name in 1,000 hushed tones, each syllable sharper than the last. With shaking hands, she grasped the locket tighter, her pulse racing. She had to focus. "The key is love," she reminded herself, though doubt gnawed at her insides. What good was love when faced with something so dark? Suddenly, the air shifted. The mirror flickered again, swirls of light capturing her attention. From the depths of its reflection, Clara's and Max's images pulsed, distorted yet unmistakable. Their faces were pulled tight with fear, mouths moving as if trying to form words through an invisible barrier. "Mom!" they cried, reaching for her. The sight pierced her heart. She felt that she was swimming in a murky abyss spun from the fabric of their shared memories, their laughter and warmth now distant. A whisper brushed against her ear, "You must choose." It coiled around her like a viper, uncoiling slowly, leaving behind a rancid trail of fear. Was it urging her to decide? Alex stepped toward the mirror, its surface beckoning like a siren's song. "Choose what?" she shouted against the tide of confusion. Was it the choice to confront whatever lay behind her? To tear at the shadows that curled in the corners, hiding in the dim light that barely illuminated the attic? With each heartbeat, darkness crept closer. The shadows seemed to swell, rising into monstrous forms. One blocky figure emerged, its bulk shifting in and out of coherence, filled with whispers. It was as if the attic itself had come alive, teeth of despair gnashing at her courage. Choose to leave, or choose to stay and join them, the voice slithered menacingly, each word cutting through the heavy air. The keeper knows all must pay the price. Price? She echoed, her throat dry. I protect the lost. Each word resonated through the house, vibrating through her bones. Alex's mind raced. She thought of Clara and Max, trapped and fading. She thought of the love that had driven her up these stairs, pushing her into the arms of the beast. Love is stronger than fear. She shouted defiantly. A growl rippled through the air, vibrating the very floor beneath her feet. Shadows pulsed aggressively, responding to her bravery as if trying to swallow her whole. The glimpses of her children flickered dimly. Mom, help! They sounded weaker now, their voices distorted with pain. She felt the locket grow warmer, pulsing in time with her racing heart. I'll save you! She screamed. I will break this curse. With that, she thrust the locket toward the mirror, begging it to absorb the love she felt deep within her. Break the curse. She repeated, feeling hope ignite a flame in the cold darkness surrounding her. For a heartbeat, silence reigned. Then, the mirror surged forward, light emitting in waves, colliding with the shadows. The dark figures hissed, recoiling, but the force of her love became a shield, pushing them back. The attic trembled now, filled with shrieks of fury and panic. Could it work? Would love indeed conquer darkness? But then a thunderous crack split the air, and the mirror shattered, sending slivers of glass flying like shards of a broken soul. Alex fell back, terror clawing at her throat as her connection to the children flickered like a dying light. In the distance, she heard their cries, now louder, mingling with a new sound, a deep, sinister laugh that rolled like thunder, echoing through the void. And as the dust settled around her, an impossible figure emerged from the shadows, cloaked in darkness. It loomed tall, grotesquely shifting, its eyes bright with malice. You think love will save you? It hissed, and the air thickened. Wrapping around her like a vice, Alex's heart raced with dread as realization hit her. There were far deeper horrors to unravel than any she had anticipated. What would she sacrifice now to save her children? With that thought lingering painfully in her mind, she steeled herself for the nightmare that was only beginning. Alex struggled to rise, her limbs uncooperative beneath the weight of dread. Shadows twisted around her, churning like smoke, eagerly surrounding the figure that now towered in the dim light of the attic. Its laughter was a monstrous symphony, mingling with the shrieks of her children, faintly echoing in the corners of her mind, desperately pleading for rescue. Who are you? Alex croaked, her voice trembling. The fear in her voice made the specter churn with delight, its shape distorting as it advanced, flickering in and out of the darkness. I am the keeper, it rasped, each word dripping with malice. I collect the lost souls who venture into my domain. You're just one more thread in the fabric of despair. The mirror shards glimmered on the floor, reflecting her terror. She could feel cold pricks of glass at her back. The attic felt alive, hunger radiating from its walls, eager for her surrender. Clara. Max. She shouted, the names bursting from her like the remnants of a dying flame. A surge of warmth shot through her heart, driven by their fading cries. What do you want from me? The keeper only grinned wider, a toothy smile that split its face. Your love, your sacrifice. You must choose, Alex. Will you embrace the darkness, join your children in a more permanent way? Or will you resist, and watch them wither away? Alex felt each word lash against her like a whip, pulling her closer to an abyss. The air grew colder, sliding past her skin like ice as shadows flared and swirled around her. Each heartbeat echoed through the tiny attic, a countdown to an unimaginable fate. No! She screamed defiantly, pushing back against the cosmic hatred pouring from the keeper. She thought of the warmth of her children's laughter, the way Clara's eyes sparkled in the sunlight, the joy of endless moments together. With that memory, a flicker of strength ignited in her chest. "I will not give in." The keeper's laughter roared, echoing with every syllable. "Foolish woman. Love cannot save you here. It is only a snare, a deception to bring you closer to suffering. Accept it." The shadows lunged forward, engulfing her in a frigid embrace. Alex gasped as panic clawed at her throat. She grappled to hold on to her love, but the void gripped and threatened to crush her spirit. In that frantic moment, she remembered the locket. With trembling fingers, she fished it out from beneath her shirt. Its warmth pulsed urgently against her palm. "You're not lost," she shouted at the shadows, desperation rising in her voice. "You were never lost. I love you." Light erupted from the locket, illuminating the attic with a brilliance that turned shadows to mere smoke. The keeper recoiled, shrieking a cacophony of rage and horror. Luminous tendrils shot forth from the locket, entwining around the figure, igniting the darkness with brilliant colors of warmth and light, but the keeper fought back, its form twisted and writhed, sending shards of malicious energy flying toward Alex. They struck like arrows, embedding themselves into her skin. Pain blossomed, hot and sharp, as Alex screamed. "Join them." The keeper's voice grated through the attack. "You all will belong with me." Through her pain, she felt the locket burn fiercely. It was alive, responding to her anguish. With an effort born from the depths of her love, she shouted, "I choose them." In that instant, the light expanded, the warmth pulsing and surging, pushing back against the keeper. The creature shrieked, a painful wail that clawed at every corner of the attic, but even as the light fought against it, Alex sensed an ominous shift. The keeper was not alone. Other figures stirred in the shadows, eyes glinting with curiosity, hungry for the light and warmth that had spilled into their depth. Who are they? She wondered, terror creeping back into her chest. Other souls, caught like spiderwebs, hiding just beyond the light. Were they lost too, or waiting to drag her down into the darkness? In that fleeting moment of hope, a spider's web entangled her love, and the shadows crept closer. What new terrors lurked just beyond? Her grasp. Would the light be enough to guide her through? With her heart pounding, she faced the unraveling despair. The terror was not over yet. The shadows twisted around Alex, swirling like a living tempest. The light from the locket flickered, illuminating the figures trapped in the depths, their hollow eyes reflecting her struggle. She could feel every soul's longing, their anguish coiling around her heart, and with each beat, her resolve hardened. She couldn't give in now, not while Clara and Max's voices broke through the darkness, calling for her. "Mom! Help us!" Their cries pierced her, igniting a fire deep within. With newfound determination, she focused on the light emanating from the locket, channeling her love into every pulse as she shouted to the keeper, "You won't take them. They're not yours." The keeper recoiled, momentarily blinded by the light. The very essence of her love surged ahead, illuminating the attic, banishing the darkness inch by inch. Chills raced up her spine as she faced the monstrosity before her. It twisted in agony, its screeches rattling the walls. Alex took a step forward, feeling the warmth radiate from the locket, wrapping around her like a protective shield. "Stay away from my children!" she roared. And in that moment, when her voice resonated through the murky gloom, she felt an unexpected rush of warmth cascade through her. The images of Clara and Max swirled in her mind, strengthening her resolve. "Love is not a prison," she declared, drawing courage from her memories. "It's a sanctuary." The sudden conviction in her words sent visible tremors through the keeper, its form flickering. The shadows around her writhed, seeking to reclaim what was theirs, but Alex pushed forward. She held the locket high, and with every fiber of her being, she voiced her love, her hope. "You will not take us. We are stronger than you. The keeper visibly trembled, its features warping grotesquely, but Alex pressed on. For every soul you take, I will retrieve twice as many. I will unearth the lost. I will set them free. As she shouted, light erupted from the locket like a sun breaking through the clouds, stretching tentacles of brilliance into every corner of the attic. The once writhing shadows began to dissolve, screaming as the warmth consumed them. A sudden roar echoed through the space, a cacophony of despair as the keeper faltered, thrashing amid the bright tendrils that grasped at its dark matter. The light pulsed once more, and Alex could see the figures of previous victims, faces brightening with hope. They knew freedom was near. They reached out toward her, their hands interlacing as if forming a chain of solidarity. Then, from somewhere beyond the fiend's howls, Clara and Max emerged from the darkness, shining with the same ethereal glow that now engulfed the attic. "Mom!" they cried, their joy slicing through the remaining fog. Alex's heart soared. "Hold on!" she shouted, beckoning her children. "We're almost there." The keeper, now unraveling, lashed out one last time, its claws grasping for the glimmers of hope that threatened its dominion. "You will suffer," it bellowed, but Alex stood firm, her light unwavering. With a fierce yell, she charged forward, the love she had for her children surging into the locket, sending forth a beam of raw, radiant power. It shot straight into the keeper, and the creature let out a deafening roar, a blaring cacophony of anguish reverberating through the walls. As suddenly as it began, the darkness recoiled, shattering into a million tiny fragments that sparkled with lost souls finding their way home. The locket pulsed wildly in her hand, absorbing the swirling chaos, turning the pain into radiant energy. "Together!" Alex called, grasping Clara and Max's hands. She could feel their warmth blend with her own, igniting a force that resonated through the air. "Together!" they echoed back, their voices clear and strong. In that blissful moment, as shadows surrendered beneath the light, fountains of laughter erupted from Clara and Max. The attic was charged, electric with hope. The pain faded, the echoes of lost souls now harmonizing in joyous reunion. "Mom!" they squealed, filled with overwhelming joy. The air glimmered, shimmering with life as the remnants of shadows disintegrated, burns of hope filling the empty corners. And then, with a single breath, the weight of despair that had clung to them shattered. The attic brightened, sunlight breaking through the small windows, banishing what had lurked in darkness at last. In the sweet silence that followed, Alex looked around, tears of relief streaming down her cheeks. They were free. The horrors were behind them, and love had triumphed over darkness. As they stepped out into the morning sun, the past faded, leaving only the promise of new beginnings. Alex embraced her children tightly, whispering assurances filled with love and warmth. The house no longer felt like a prison, it whispered new stories, tales not just of loss but of love, laughter, and the shared warmth of a family standing strong together. "This is our home," she said softly, "and we're never letting go." And with that, they walked through the door of their new lives. The shadows melted behind them, the whispers now a gentle breeze of hope, carrying with them a reminder of the power love truly held. Before we wrap it up, let us make sure you don't miss a single moment of our future stories. You need to subscribe now to the channel. Smash that like button now to help us reach more friends, and flood the comments section below with your reactions and theories about this thrilling conclusion. And please, don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to live this conclusion. This is the moment to show your support for the channel. Let us keep this thrilling journey alive together.